Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again. I'm Heather from DIY Crafty Creator. Today I'm going to do another watercolor tutorial. We're going to do some pretty flowers. I've decided to do a small bouquet, including an Aster, a Narcissus, and a Violet. So we're going to put a background on it, bring it all together, and it's going to be amazing. So thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and then hit the bell if you want to get notifications for my new videos. So let's get started. So first we'll start with the aster here. We'll make a circle for the center of the aster. Then we'll go ahead and just make tiny, thin little petals here and just kind of go all the way around. If you need to shift your paper, then go ahead and do that. But we want to make tiny, thin ovals essentially. The edges are rounded, so go ahead and make rounded edges and just make the full circle around, and you want to keep it going from the center out. So don't draw off of one petal, just always draw from the center. So you can also make a second layer of petals after you do the first layer that's gonna fill in the gaps. Okay, so we're starting on the Narcissus flower here, and I always start with the center. So there's a little cone shape, and then there's the circle of the Narcissus flower center. So I start with the circle and then bring the cone shape down, and then we're going to start drawing the petals out here. So each petal, there's 3 petals on top and then 3 petals as a second layer. So I'm drawing the 3 top petals first, and then we'll draw those petals that are behind. Don't be afraid to erase. If you feel like you're not super happy with that petal, go ahead and erase it and then keep going. Keep in mind when you're drawing these petals that they're pretty thick, so they start out a little thinner at the bottom, get a little wider in the center, and then we're going up to a curved point at the top. So not a point, but curved edges there. So for the violet, we'll start in the center again, make a tiny little oval. That'll be our center. Then we're going to make the petals out from there. So I started with the small left petal, make a larger right and left bottom petals, and then a little bit smaller left and right petals, and then we'll do the 2 top petals. So one's larger, the right one's larger, and the left one is underlapping behind. So do the right petal first and then underlap the left petal. Put in those little lines in the petals that make the violet contrast on the petals. You don't want to forget those. Okay, now let's get ready to paint. We're going to start with the aster here and get some purple on there. Use wet on wet if you'd like. That means put water down first and then put the paint on top of it, or like I've done here, I just use the water with the paint, and I'm painting the petals that are on the back layer first, and they're going to be darker, have the shadow on them. So I'm going to paint those, and just so my paint doesn't run into each other, I'm going to paint every other one or ones that don't touch first. Okay, so we're going to start the second layer of the petals here, and I suggest just waiting for that first layer to dry. That way that your new paint isn't running into the paint that you just put down. So let it dry, or keep doing the petals that aren't touching that. So I've started on the violet here, and I started with the upper two petals because they're behind the other petals. I used a wet on wet technique with some purple, some quin rose, and just kind of put the color in there, kind of scrumble it a little bit and get those colors to mix by adding a little bit more water. So get some water down first, get paint on your brush, dab it on there, and then kind of push it around. Make sure to use your paper towel to dab your paintbrush, and that's definitely helpful if you get too much paint. Starting on the Narcissus here, it is a white flower, so I'm going to use a lot of gray, and that will show the shadows without, giving it a color. So we use the gray. Get a lot of water on your brush to blend those grays into shadows, because although it does have some kind of lines on the petals, we don't want them to be super dramatic. So we're going to blend this all together once we get them on there. So this is kind of the base we're doing here with the gray lines. So before I go any further with the Narcissus, I'm going to add some yellow to the centers of the flowers. So just put some wet on wet in here for the violet. Then for the Aster, I'm going to go ahead and dot the yellow in because it has more of a dotted looking center, and we'll kind of layer that as well. So moving on, we're going to put the yellow in the Narcissus for the center of that flower, and then just dabbing it around, leaving some light areas as well. Now to complete the petals, I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow and use the wet on wet. So go ahead and wet the petal, add pigment to your brush, and then kind of just blend it through the petal. So then we get a nice full petal, and we already have those shadows underneath. So we're going to go ahead and add another layer to our violet as well. And like I was saying before, just keep adding these layers. It really creates depth. It gets the flower to where you want it to be, and it makes it just extra pretty. So keep going with your layers. Let one layer dry. Continue with the second layer, third layer if you need to. Just, do what you need to do. Make it beautiful. So adding leaves, I'm just going to go ahead and paint them on with my paintbrush. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just use your pencil and you can erase. Go ahead and add a couple different colors of green. Give your leaves some friends. Make sure you get lots of leaves on there and lots of shadows, and layer if you need to. So let's do the background, and I like to do a wet on wet technique where I get a lot of water on my brush and just kind of do random, scumble around the paper. And then once you have a lot of water in there, you can grab some pigment, put it onto the wet areas, and just kind of move the paint around with the water. And it gives you a really cool look. I really love this look. I do it for a lot of my backgrounds. And it's just kind of random, and if it starts looking not random, just add some more water and then we'll start getting more random. So as you can see, I've put a lot of darker colors in there as well around the white flower here, and that will really make the petals pop and give you that contrast that you need when you're doing a white flower on white paper. Okay, so here we have the final product. I think it's super cute how it turned out. My favorite is the background, how it all kind of came together. It brings the flowers together. You get a little bit of a different tones in there, and then you get it off the edge too, and it kind of gives it just another amazing look. So thank you for joining me, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel below. Hit the bell to get the notifications for my new videos once you've subscribed. Leave me a comment and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.